Hey guys, yesterday Elias posted this proposal about leagues, and if you don't play any other mobile games, leagues are essentially like leagues or tiers that you move up or down based on how well you do compared to other players, and you get prizes based on which league you're in or whatnot. And so here it says a disclaimer: anything and everything in this proposal can and will change depending on feedback and game balancing. So I'll kind of walk you through this proposal and try and explain some stuff. So league tiers, there will be 11 leagues, each with 3 different divisions except the Kale League, which is its own thing. So there's Sunflower 1, 2, 3, Potato 4, 5, 6, all the way up to Wheat 28, 29, 30, and then like I said, Kale is its own league. League points, players can complete in-game actions to earn league points. Actions that burn resources will reward more league points than actions that gain resources. So basically anything you do in the game will give you points, harvesting crops, picking fruit, like digging, crafting dolls, casting rods, chores, like everything you do will give you some amount of points. Things like harvesting crops won't give you nearly as many points as like getting obsidian from lava pits, for example. But everything you do basically will give you points. So then we get down to league promotion. From Sunflower to Pumpkin League, it's just strictly based on how many points you get. So you start at Sunflower 1. When you get to 5,000 points, you move up to Sunflower 2, 15,000 points, Sunflower 3, and so on and so on. But when you get to the Carrot League, it's slightly different. Here, there's a leaderboard style format, which will be a weekly league with 100 random players. Players above a certain rank will be promoted, while players below a certain rank will be demoted. Players can't get demoted below Carrot 10, and every week players start with 0 points. So every week your points are reset. And here it shows when you're in Carrot League, the top 20% will be promoted, the bottom 5% will be demoted. And you can see all the different rankings here. When you're up to Wheat, only 5% of the people will be promoted, and the bottom 20% will be demoted. So, like, let's say you're in Wheat 29, the top 5% of Wheat 29 will move up to Wheat 30, and the bottom 20% will move down to Wheat 28, and the other 75% would just stay here. That's essentially how it works. Here, the beta testers are now testing this, and this is a screenshot of the testing of it. So you can see here only one person gets promoted just because there aren't 100 people in beta testing. There's only like a handful. So one person gets promoted and these people down here will get demoted. Blasta. And yeah, that's essentially how it would work. These 100 people that you're randomly grouped with will be other people within your league. So like people within within your division even. So like people within like Radish 27 would only be, actually I don't know if maybe everyone within a league would be potentially grouped together. I don't know, but like essentially people in like Wheat won't be grouped with people in Beetroot. It would be within people like within your league or maybe even within your division, but it'll be people like around your farm level in theory. So then there's Kale League, like I said, it's its own thing. And this is kind of where I have a problem with everything, and I'll get more into that later, but I'll read what it says here. Players who reach Kale League will have monthly competitions that can give out love charms, similar to competition style format. Each month there will be a different focus on which actions will give boosted points. However, all other actions will continue to give their regular amount of points. Rewards will be given to everyone based on their percentile. So at the end of each chapter, players will reset to 2 leagues below their current league. So if you're in Kale, you'll be reset to Radish 25. So like I said, this is where I have a problem with it, with the proposal, and I'll get more into that later, but we'll keep going. Initial league. So because this is just starting at some point, I don't know if it'll start next chapter, the chapter after that. I don't know when this is going to start, but people aren't all going to start at Sunflower 1 because that would be crazy. So it's going to kind of depend on how far you've currently progressed. So Basic Island will start in Sunflower or Potato. Spring Island will start in... Oh, actually, it's not Spring Island anymore. This is Spring Island. But anyways, the second island will start in either Pumpkin or Carrot or Cabbage. Desert Island will start in Beetroot, Cauliflower, or Parsnip. And Volcano will start on Parsnip 23. So league rewards. Here are some possible rewards when promoting to new leagues. These are just ideas, I guess. Resource packs, Bumpkin XP buff, Pet XP buff, unlock shop items. I have no idea what this means. Raffle at the end, love charms, faction shop. I don't know what this means either. Like there is a faction shop, but I don't know what faction shop rewards means. and then faction involvement. So this is also a part where I have problems with, but we'll get into that later as well. Factions will have collaborations between members of each faction. Factions are ranked based on the amount of net promotions. So like if 10 people get promoted and 5 people get demoted, that would be 5 essentially. Each week, players in the top 2 faction will get bumpkin XP bonuses for the following week. Players in the losing 2 factions will have a bonus to get a bonus in league points for the following week so that they can catch up to the winning factions. The faction that has the most net promotions will win for the chapter and get a cosmetic trophy. Okay, so I posted a bunch of questions and comments here below, but I'll get into most of those here. Most of my problems, like I said, with this proposal are around the Kale League and the faction involvement. So I'll kind of explain my problem with the Kale League and then I'll try and visualize it. So here it says at the end of each chapter, which is 3 months, players will reset to 2 leagues below them. So 2 leagues is actually 6 divisions. So if you're in Kale, you get demoted to Radish 25. That's 6 divisions, like I said. So it would take 6 weeks. So you start in 25, you go up to 26 week 2, 27 week 3, 28 week 4, 29 week 5, 30 week 6, and then actually Kale week 7. So it would take 7 weeks to get up to Kale. Or well, it would take 6 weeks, and then in the 7th week you'd be up at Kale. So what that means is because you're getting reset every 3 months, that would only give you a month and a half in the Kale League. And that's assuming you're one of the people getting top 5% every single week. And you aren't getting demoted. You aren't in the middle 75%. It's only the top 5% of people every single week that would be getting to Kale League in a month and a half. So, okay, like I said, I visualized this issue a bit. It's going to be hard for me to kind of zoom in here because of the way it's formatted. But, so, okay, let's say this starts in February. I don't know if it will. It probably won't, to be honest, but let's say it does. And you're on Volcano Island. And once again, you're one of the top 5% or 10% every week. So, like, it's different percentage years that gets promoted. But let's say you're one of the top people every single week. The first set doesn't really matter because everyone's getting used to it and you're not starting at the same place you would be starting normally. So you get through it, you get to Kale, and then it's the end of the chapter here at the end of April. So then you get demoted back down to Radish 25. This is where it actually matters. So you get demoted back down to Radish 25. And like I said, this is assuming you're getting the top 5% every week. So Radish 25, next week you're Radish 26, Radish 27, and then you're in week 28. And at this point, the first month of competition is done. The first month of Kale competition is done. It is literally impossible to get to Kale within that first month. So there will be no prizes. We scroll down here. Each month there will be a different focus on which actions get boosted. Where am I looking for? Here it is. Players who reach Kale will have monthly competitions that can give out love charms. So this month of competition is just done. No one's in there. It's literally impossible to get in there. And then there's another competition going to be starting for June, and you won't even be able to get in there until halfway through. And then you'll be there for the full month of July, and then you'd be reset again. And like I said, this is assuming you're top 5% every week. Let's say you actually stay in Radish 25 for the first week. Like you aren't the top 5%. And then every other week you make it to the top. So that would mean, once again, you aren't getting prizes. No one's getting prizes for May. And then for June, you're actually a week behind these people. Your points here are getting reset every week. Whereas people in Kale League, they only get reset every month because they have a month-to-month competition. So your points are getting reset here. So you only have 2 weeks of point accumulation, whereas they had 3. So you're basically out for June. You're probably not getting any rewards because you're a week behind these people. And then, yeah, you'll have July to get rewards. But that's essentially the idea of why this doesn't really work. I have posted a couple of suggestions down here. One of my suggestions is to just demote people by one division. So what that would mean is instead of going down to Radish 25, I'll delete this here. You would go down to wheat 30. And then you would be in Kale League for most of the rest of the time. That would be one suggestion. And so a lot of this, I believe, is based on Clash of Clans. And Clash of Clans has a system where you can actually lose points when you're in the top division. So we do need a system that makes it so you have a chance of dropping down. Because in theory, if 5% were going into Kale every week and no one was ever leaving Kale, then eventually every single person would be in Kale League. So we do need a system that drops people out. But dropping people by a whole league or by 2 whole leagues is like way too much in my opinion. So one of my suggestions is to make it so you only drop 1 division instead of 2 whole leagues. Even 1 whole league would be too much in my opinion, because let's visualize that. You would drop down to wheat 28 and then you would only have, sorry, my cats are going wild right now. You would only have, like, what is this? 10 weeks at Kale before you get dropped down again. And like I said, this is if you do it perfectly. Like, there's a chance you're getting demoted to like Radish 27 if you're at the bottom, or you're just staying in wheat 28 for like a couple weeks, and then you're in wheat 29 for a couple weeks, and then you're in wheat 30 for a couple weeks, and then you finally get to Kale halfway through June. So you would miss all of May, and then you would like miss half of June, and then like since you weren't in June at the start, you're probably not getting anything for June. So that's my problem with that. But I still think that does work better than dropping 2 full leagues or even 1 full league. Just dropping 1 division. So my other suggestion though is I played this game called Capybara Go for a while, and they had arenas, which were basically the same thing as our leagues. I'll pull that up here in a second. So this suggestion, so the bottom ranks, the bottom leagues were groups just like the bottom leagues for us. So here it says random groups 100. They didn't have 100 every time. They had 50 here, 100, 100, 200. But the difference here is that instead of Clash of Clans, where you just lose trophies, or our system where every 3 months you drop leagues, this system, they just have the top 30% of people stay at that rank, and the other 70% goes back down to diamond. We wouldn't need to use like these numbers 30% and 70%, because for them they do like top 10% move up, versus we're only doing top 5% move up. It says top 20 weekly, but 20 out of 200 is 10%. So like they have more people moving up than we do. So anyways, these numbers could be adjusted. It's just an idea. But essentially the difference between the Capybara Go thing and what is being proposed here is that instead of having it be a monthly competition, it's a week-to-week competition in Kale League as well. Like, that's what the suggestion would be. It works. It would work the same as all the other leagues. The only difference is you obviously can't move up from it. That's the top one, and just a lot of people are moved out of it every week. That's the main difference, and those are my 2 suggestions essentially. My other suggestion around this is that I think if we do this thing where we're dropping people leagues or divisions, I think it should only be people in the Kale League that gets dropped, because it would be weird if you're like, choose a league here, if you're in like Radish 26 and you're actually supposed to be one of the people who are getting promoted, and then you actually just drop down instead. That would feel weird. So like I said, my suggestion, if we want to keep it the same kind of format, is that you're only drop down 1 division, and it's only the people in Kale that are getting dropped down. If that did change though, if you were in wheat 30 at the end of the chapter, you wouldn't get demoted, but you also wouldn't be able to move up either. The people in Kale would get demoted to wheat 30 at the end of the chapter, and if you were in wheat 30, you couldn't move up to Kale in that week, because that wouldn't make sense. You would have to stay in Kale 30. Or sorry, wheat 30. So that's that. And then my other issue though is around the faction involvement. So what it says is factions are ranked based on the amount of net promotions. And my problem with this is that if you get up to Kale, you're basically just going to stay in Kale. So it would be weird that like if you're actually doing well, you aren't really moved up. You aren't getting points. So like my suggestion is to just base it on the amount of points that the faction has. And it should also still be the top 100 of the faction, or else just Nightshades is just going to win every week because they have the most members. So I don't like that this is based on net promotions. It should just be based on the points you earn. And that's if we want to tie it into factions. I think keeping factions as just kind of what they are already is fine. I don't really understand the need to tie it into factions. But if you want to tie it into factions, I think it should just be based on the points of the top 100 players, and or based it on like the average points per player or something like that. But it shouldn't be based on the promotions, because like I said, if you get up to Kale, then you're just in Kale and you aren't getting points. So like if you're a better player, you actually like don't participate as much in factions. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense in my opinion. So yeah, that's basically it. I'm very excited for this idea in general. I think it'll give us something to constantly do. The chapter races are like fun. Some people don't even participate though. And like, if you're being honest, like it's only so many, like it only takes you like 15 minutes a day and you're done all the ticket deliveries and everything every day. So I don't know. This is just going to add an extra layer of excitement. And if you play other mobile games, you'll know that like there are often multiple things going on at once. Like for us, we really have like the faction stuff and the chapter race, and that's like it. Like you obviously have a lot of different stuff to do for it, but like there's not really that much going on at once. It's very minor. We only have like 2 things going on, whereas a lot of games have like 4 or 5 different things going on. So I think these leagues would be fun. I don't know how we would interact with competitions. I don't know if this would just replace competitions or what, but yeah. Anyways, that's my thoughts on this whole thing, and let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and have a good day. Please consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't yet. It would help me out a lot. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. Have a good day, guys. And I also want to say thank you to all the members of the channel. Current members of the channel are Raichu, Thedra, Deucefold, New Augustine, and Night Shadow. Thank you very much for your support.